Okay, the first video on tasting the earliest strawberry guavas. I have three types that ripen early when grown outside in the Netherlands. These are very similar in the way they flower and grow. It's just that these are even smaller than these ones. The plants are also a little bit different. So I'll cut these open for you to look at the inside, and then I'll taste them. So let's taste it. First we'll taste this one. The seeds of this are like the seeds of real guavas. They're very hard, so they're not like feijoa where you can eat the whole fruit. Here you can either eat the whole fruit and swallow the seeds, or you can break your teeth on the seeds, so you have to be very careful. This one actually quite nice. Good amount of sugar, good amount of sour, and it has that little tannin kick, which I find is really pleasant, but it is a little bit resinous, right? It dries out your mouth a little bit, but it's very nice. The very small ones. Next. That has even more tannin. The flavor is very similar. I think they're very similar, but it just doesn't develop the sweetness and the sort of the creamy inside of, and the tannin is very high. So I would use that one only in sort of juices and drinks and jellies. But this is a good fruit to eat still. Now we'll go for this one. Up. Totally different fruit and flavor. Much more tropical, so I can taste flavors like pineapple, mango, citrus, passion fruit. A lot of tropical flavor, very good sweetness, much better size, right? And a brighter red color, and no tannins at all. So this is a very good sweet and sour fruit, very pleasant to eat out of hand. It's just that the hard seeds make it not a fruit that you can give to anybody. You have to warn them, okay, don't chew too hard, because you can damage your teeth on it. But in cocktails, desserts, anything like that, if you can add a couple of slices of this fresh fruit on top of it, you would immediately give it a very tropical and unique flavor. Now, a couple of others have ripened. I've picked some more just before the frost came, and we're going to see how they taste. So that gives us a very interesting plate of varieties that have ripened before the frosts this year. And so these are seeds from France. These three are all from the same batch of seeds from Portugal, but they're a lot larger red variety. This is the round and yellow variety. This is from a batch of seeds that I got from Madeira, and I don't know whether they're related to the red ones or whether they're related more to the small cherry ones. They're probably something in between. These ones are supposed to be really purple and really small and really bitter, so we're see about that. But this is from the same batch of seed as this one, and that makes it interesting, and that makes it also a lot of fun to grow these kinds of plants, because they do cross readily, and there's a lot of variation to be found and to be had, both in their winter hardiness, but also in the size and the flavor and the sweetness of the fruit. So let's start tasting them. I'll start with this one from France. Let me just see. Beautiful. Fruity flavor, packs a lot of punch because it still has a lot of acid, but a really nice citrusy, sweet and sour flavor with resinous and tropical undertones. Then we'll go to this one that I think either has a little bit of damage from frost still. I think it's frost damage, yes. So I'll show you the fruit, like I cut off a little these pieces. And then, So I don't know if you heard that, but that's the hard seeds. The flavor of this is amazing. It's much sweeter, still has the same complex, sour, tropical flavor. I call it tropical flavor, but it's resinous, it's pineapple-y, it's passion fruit-like. It's a very complex, tropical kind of flavor. So I guess I'll do these ones before, because the more purple they are, sort of the more astringent and the more acidic they are. So let's see what this one is like. It's not as sweet as this one, but also not as acidic as that one, but that leaves it a little bit just less tasty. It's a bit bigger, but it's not an improvement in flavor over either of these two. Let's try one of the very purple ones. These have a very bad reputation, but we'll have to see. Also very hard seeds. And indeed, I can see why they don't have the best reputation. They're not bad, but they lack all the sweetness that sort of balances out the acidity and the tannins of this kind of type. Well, this one is very tasty because it is both sweet and sour, and so it's just very punchy as a flavor. Then this one has all that punch, but no sweetness to balance it out, which leaves it much more, I think, like an interesting fruit or something, but like many other berries that you find on plants, they're not really, it's not something you would either crave or think, okay, I'd like eating that. Let's see if its brother from the same batch of seed, which looks totally different, how that tastes. That one is not entirely ripe yet, but has the same problem. No sweetness, does have a better texture and size, but since there's no sweetness, you just get these more resinous kind of flavors, and it's more like eating the peel of some fruit, right? Because in the peel there's usually much more of these sour and these tannic flavor compounds. Let's go on to the really nice ones, the big red ones. These are beautiful. These are just really, really delicious and like a real tropical fruit, right? They're creamy and sweet and juicy, but that sweetness that is balancing a lot of sour and complex and resinous and tropical flavors. Resinous, I use the word because people describe mangoes also as resinous. And it's just a complex sour, a complex flavor that involves sourness, but also a lot of other aromatic notes. Then we still have this one. Let's see how this one is. So what I do is I cut off the bud end, because all these Myrtaceae, they have these, Feijoas have the two, they have this bud end on the fruit where the flower is, and without it, it just is a nicer eating experience. These are all slightly different, but they all taste very much the same. They're very sweet, powerful, tropical flavor. And then let's end with a yellow one, which I also cut off the bud end. Let's see what this will give me. That is so much sweeter even still, or let's say all the acidity from this one and the tannins, they have mellowed out completely. They're almost gone. So this is much more like a pineapple or something like that. It's softer, and it doesn't have that sort of full tropical punch with the full acidity. While it still tastes very tropical and citrusy, it's just much sweeter and milder flavored, but it still has the richness of the flavor. So if you wouldn't be eating all these other ones with it, to compare it with, it still has a very good tropical flavor. It is the most sweet of all of them, and probably the one that most people would like the most to just eat a full bag of them. But these ones in the middle, the larger ones and the sweeter ones, they are definitely the ones that you would want to eat one after the other. These smaller ones, they ripen earlier, they're more productive, they're nice and winter hardy, but I think you would use them much more for processing or for making flavors or cocktails or things like that with. And if you put them on fish or on oysters or things like that, they work the same way as citrus or as passion fruit, but just with a little bit more of a tropical hint. So they're interesting in that respect. All in all, I think it's a terrific fruit, but it's very, very fragile. I think it's almost impossible to commercialize because you see once they're off the tree, they start to very quickly sort of not look very pretty at this moment. And they do ripen off the tree a little bit still, but they're the kind of fruit that you have to sort of pick off the tree and use right away or within 1 or 2 or 3 days. So it's like a fresh fruit. And in breeding, we can still make crosses and try to select fruits that are more robust or that they keep their appearance longer and they keep fresh for a longer time. So there's a lot of challenges to be had to make this a commercial fruit, but as a backyard fruit, these are very, very interesting fruits because they make very tropical flavored fruits possible for the home gardener in Europe. But these plants, you have to sort of protect them in the winter. You can grow them as a potted plant. That's one of the big advantages of this. But that you'd have to treat it actually like a citrus plant. But then it's a lot of fun to grow.